Hi guys, Judy Fine here. Welcome to another Take 4 video. In this video, the Take 4 coaches discuss the riots that were inspired by George Floyd's death. We talk about race in our country, and we talk about the ways it's heartbreaking and the ways we want to contribute to a better future for all people in America. We welcome your comments, and we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel if you enjoy this video.
4 wise women with different coaching specialties talk about living an empowered, creative, and balanced life.
Boy, it's just the insanity going on in the world. I mean, in the sort of necessary insanity. It's a little.
I wouldn't mind getting some of that off my chest because it feels really difficult with all this going on to be like, oh, let's talk about self-care.
Exactly.
Let's talk about white privilege.
I felt similarly.
Yeah.
I posted my video. I forgot that I hadn't put it with Ken, and I did that because I so wanted to put something out for Ken. But the second I put it on Instagram, I was like, it just feels so putting anything out that's not serious about what's going on. It feels.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends down here who, during the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, took the stance of well, I understand what he's doing, but he shouldn't be doing it at that time and that place. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I didn't agree with them, but I just said to myself, well, they have a different opinion and, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And really what they were saying is, Black Americans should only peacefully protest when it's convenient for me. And they were also saying, and I know they didn't mean it, but they were also saying, stop complaining, Black man, and go entertain me, because I'm here for you to entertain me on the field. You know what I mean? That's sort of behind all that, even though these are good people. I don't consider them jerks or racist or anything. But those people, everybody, we all need to look in the mirror, and they were wrong when they said it, and I was wrong when I didn't push back on it. And I'm really taking that to heart and feeling a little bit, I'm forgiving of myself, but I'm also a little bit disappointed in myself. I don't want this to be another instance of, a week goes by and we all get back to our greatest concern being able to get to Whole Foods before we get home from work or whatever. We do all these things because we feel like we're growing and we're being better people, and we keep letting this go. White Americans keep letting this go.
It feels different, like we've tipped over some edge. I mean, what's been going on the last few days has not happened since I was reading about it. The last time at this level of, protest and everything was right after Martin Luther King got killed. The most tragic thing is that, there are protesters out there, and then it's, assholes that are taking advantage of the protests that are going and destroying businesses and,
and there are also
turning it into terrorism, which is not what it's about.
Right.
Well, and there are people who are fomenting civil war, that they are trying to fire things up so that there is civil war, which is also incredibly horrifying.
Yeah. They're going out actually saying that.
The one thing that I have been trying to do, as you eloquently described, what can we do? But just trying to be peaceful. Trying to put peace into the world as much as I possibly can. I want to listen. I want to speak up. I want to do what I can. But at the moment, the only thing I've thought of is to send out peaceful thoughts.
I think so. I just had this conversation with a younger person today, and who's very much about, I want to write about this, I want to protest about this, and she has a very conservative extended family, and actually had a run-in with them last night, and had to leave the room because they would not agree with her. And she sort of reminded me of how I was when I was younger, where I wanted to fight all this. And as you get older, you kind of get to this place of, I want to fight this. I'm going to say what I think, but then I'm going to step back because I don't want to get into a battle with people. And maybe we have to get into battles with people again. you know, I said to her, you're not going to change them. And she goes, she got kind of mad at me. I know I'm not going to change them, but I can't sit there and let them say those things. And I said, you're so right. But I don't really know what advice to give, because you also don't want to create this distance between your family or your community at the same time. But at the same time, you got to speak up.
That's one of those times to try to pull emotion out of it, even though it's an emotional thing, and just be about the facts, and then go.
That's a good point.
Right.
And do something that you can do to, you know, were you going to say something, Liz? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just that one of the good things that can come about standing on the street in Peterborough is that then people who are quietly thinking the thoughts about Colin Kaepernick,
Yes.
that you are visible, you are the world sees that, oh, okay, my neighbors, there are, I thought that I was the only one, but there are others who think like me, or that the politicians can see, oh, many of my constituents feel this way.
Right.
So making ourselves visible is something we can do. Visible and vocal.
And I think there's multiple ways you can do that as well. And I just want to add that this young person is an incredible writer. I don't want to get emotional here, but she wrote this amazing thing that I actually asked her if I could share it, but she had put it as a comment on somebody else's feed. So I didn't want to push it because I think she was uncomfortable at sharing it, but beautifully written. And I said, you just need to write more and more and more. Like, she wanted to go to one of those protests in Boston and didn't feel comfortable going by herself. And I'm actually glad she didn't go, just for safety reasons. But speak up, you know, that's what I said to her. But she's, as Judy would say, she's a little bit in that emotional place, which I can understand. I'm the same personality, but I agree with you. If we can get kind of rational about it, just speak the facts.
Right.
And have the conversation, because when we're really emotional and we attack somebody else, like you're all wrong, then you know, the egos come up and the boards
and then you have to leave the room.
And
well, that's I think what happened.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
That's what happened, though, because the people she was talking to were not the kind of people that are willing to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
They were the kind of people that were saying, you are wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so that's when you kind of have to just say your piece and then probably walk away. And that can be hard when you really want them to listen. So
yeah,
maybe next time they will.
Who knows? Or someone in that room might have been listening but not getting involved, or like a young person. Yeah,
it's true.
I already said there have been plenty of times when I didn't speak up, and I shouldn't be afraid of that. But I know I also have preconceptions about people based on who they remind me of. We all do. That's a human thing. We have to all be willing to look at that and be honest about it and try to check it. And the other thing is, I really want to be sure that a month from now, we're still doing that, and we're still checking ourselves, and we're still posting or writing or whatever it is, because this has to stop. It has to stop.
You know, when I saw all the that the looting and the rioting was happening, my first thought was, I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they wouldn't set fire to their own community.
Sure.
And then I talked to this young person about this who keeps reopening my eyes, and I saw some stuff online and stuff. And one thing that Martin Luther King said was, riots are the how does he say it? The riots are the voice of the unheard, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So what's happening is, this is not just one guy dying because a cop was kneeling on his neck. This is repetitive and been happening over and over.
Right.
And there has been lots of peaceful attempts at talking, at bringing this out.
Kaepernick.
And I know. And people, there's actually lots of examples, and people are just like, cut it out. Stop this. And I wish they wouldn't damage property, but at the same time, I understand where they're coming from. It's like,
and the thing
I'm going to fight.
There are protesters and there are looters. I don't know that they're all the same people.
Right.
The Target put out a really cool statement. And of course, I can't cite it word for word, but it's online, and it's the target that was directly affected by the initial riots, and they were saying they were fully supportive of the community, that everything was going to be, they weren't like mad about it. They were standing in alignment with their community. And
a lot of police officers have been too. There have been some police officers, I think, in North Carolina or South Carolina, and marching with protesters. And I mean, that's what we need. This idea of the bad apples has to go away, because if there are bad apples in your police department, you need to get rid of them.
There's another video I saw, and it's two police officers, and I don't know if this guy was white or black. I couldn't tell in the video, but they had this guy in his stomach, and they were trying to handcuff him, and of course he's trying to pull his arms away. One police officer has his knee on the back of the guy's neck, and and so he's holding him down, and you see the other cop finally gets the hands cuffed and pushes the cop's knee off the guy's neck.
Yeah.
I was like, perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
They need to do that with each other. They can't say it's okay for you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole brotherhood thing needs to stop.
And the New York Times that I just read this morning, it's like the Minnesota paradox or something. And, it really gets into like all the different things that, where they put in the highway way back when, and it was they protected all the white neighborhoods and wiped out all the black neighborhoods. Yeah. And then, there were all these housing boost things that were not available to the black people. Like, it just shows the systemic way that the whole black population has been.
Or they get higher interest rates, or
just
you can't get as big
down.
And as white Americans, we're not responsible for it, but we've allowed it to continue. And that's the place where I am. I don't want to be someone who just sits by and allows it to continue.
Same
I
here.
agree.
Liz, go.
I just was thinking that maybe I need to increase my tolerance for riot and revolution. That, I mean, I have always been like a liberal, wanting to let's fix things. We don't want to have it all blow up. But maybe things need to get a whole lot worse, and I need to be able to deal with fire in the streets in order to make things change.
Well, hopefully we can let this be the tipping point. So we don't have to have more people get hurt and more property get hurt. It would be nice if this could be the tipping point.
I definitely have the attitude this time. In the past, I've had this sort of like, you're ruining that building. Like, just that feeling of like wanting to almost fix it or stop it, even though it's already on a film that's being replayed. But this time I'm just like, this is what, I just feel like it's the natural consequence. And it's not good, but it's also not bad. It's just what happens when you ignore.
It's an expression of anger, and
I just don't want people to get hurt.
And if the pandemic is part of the disruption that's going to change the world, maybe this is too. Maybe
having conversations like this is something we can do. Going to protest marches is something we can do. Writing about it, sharing information. I don't know if
talking to people who disagree with us.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. And voting, policy changes.
And making sure we're still talking about it a month from now, even if it seems like the potency
hopefully for these reasons, not for new reasons.
Yes, exactly.